Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Broad Show, the Monday edition. No stress to be had, no disappointment over the weekend. I am absolutely excited to be here. I love Monday nights, especially when there's a lot of news and especially when there's a brand new guest making his debut on the channel. Mr. Maloney, sorry about that. Mr. Maloney, welcome to the Blue Broad Show, mate.
Thank you, Terry, very much. It's great to be here. Monday night platform is the big night.
It is, mate. It is. You know, it's funny. It's always poetic when guests make their first appearance, and you've had a bit of a, what do we call it? You've been a little quiet after being a little loud, and it's good to have you back on this week because there's a lot to get through, mate.
I think I purposely did it so we could get to this point.
Yeah.
This is a few weeks in the making.
Now, I can't promise that this will go for an hour because, like I said, arguably, I don't know if we've had a week like what we've had in the last 7 days. But I really want to get into it with you and everyone at home as well, get everyone's opinion. I haven't really spoken on what's going on as well, so I'm keen to explore the ideas and see how we go, mate.
Can't wait. Let's get the show on the road.
Absolutely. Huh? Well, we got to start the show as we always do. Let's run the intro and we'll go from there.
What's going on? Fucking today! Martin's been very impressive every single time.
They saw the Carlton supporters and they thank you for the love.
They've seen some fucking glass go. And there's a vantage now. The ball inside 50. Control! He strikes it beautifully.
That's the one. That's the one that gets us up and about.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely. Oh, boy.
That's glass shattering.
Mate, as I said off the top of the show, it's so good. Obviously, we want to be playing finals footy and we want to have the stress of playing finals footy and be talking about playing in an elimination final or a qualifying final. But how are you going? How's your world?
It's definitely less quiet. I think actually more quiet, less stressful, but very envious. I did text you on the weekend and said, God, it would be nice to be playing this week. But sometimes you got to just watch, absorb, and hope. And that's what finals football is about. And I hope that the players are watching it and really, really want to be absorbed by the whole finals football.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's funny because obviously as Carlton supporters, we're all barracking for the Doggies to beat the Bombers. And I was too, but, you know, in a funny way, I can't believe I'm saying this. In a funny way, I wouldn't have been too upset if Essendon won. And the reason I say that is because that would have been the ultimate message to us and our group and our club about length of time for rebuilding your list. You know, they lost Danaher, Sard, obviously Nick Hind, who's been a really good player for them this year before the bounce. They've had some things not go their way all year as well, injuries to key players. And I think it would have been the ultimate kick up the arse to, hey, look, and it should be anyway, because they play finals footy.
I think them playing finals football is a kick in the arse to us, to be completely honest. No, you're definitely right. We can further more into that when it comes to, you know, comparing lists and players that we have. But no, you're definitely right about that. That should be a real kick in the arse to them and saying, God, we should be here. Yeah, and even looking at Sydney 2 years ago, yeah, we beat them last year and they were going through a rebuild such and such. And look where they are now. Now, they go down on the weekend, but still they were very contentious in the final series. People had them tipped for a premiership berth.
Absolutely, they did. Yeah, and it goes to show you, like you said, we're going to talk a little later about what's been said, and the finals expectation is out there, and that's divided a few people, and it's been spoken into existence. But ultimately, we will get to that. For those of you at home, welcome to you. As always, the Blue Broad Show will be here every Monday. It's a 365. The Carlton Football Club is a 365-day content creating machine. So we will have something to talk about every Monday. But I do want to talk. I want to thank all the members who your names are on the bottom of the channel now. We've now got 102 paid members. This is all voluntary. And I do reiterate it every week when I thank you guys, but I want to make it very clear the responsibility that carries with that, because I feel that now, and having a lot of a better system now to work with. I really do want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and everyone that comes on the channel wants to thank you for your support. Even if you just watch and you're not a paid member, that's totally fine as well. It's all about having a chat about the thing we love the most, which is this bloody football club, Nick Ali.
Oh, what are they doing to us? What are they doing? You are 100% right. 365 days of pure commitment. I don't know if it's pain, love, or a bit of both, but they get us either way.
They do, and we can be angry all we like. We love them. We love them to death.
We do
all
love
of
them. We do.
We do. There's quite a bit to get through, as I said. We should probably start on the top of the show. Michael, you maybe want to talk a little bit about the buzz and what's going on with him, a former Carlton champion.
Yeah, it's absolutely unfortunate. We found out in the last couple of hours that Peter Buzzusto has got cancer. Very, very unfortunate. And we send him and his family nothing but the best, hoping that they can get through this all right. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And we can only just hope in our prayers that he is fine and gets through it.
Obviously, both of us never watched him play, but always want to pay respects to the past, because without the past, we don't have a Carlton Football Club. We don't have a mighty reputation. So obviously, want to send prayers and thoughts to his family, and obviously probably just more of a reminder to just not that if this period that we live through now hasn't reminded us, you just got to take every single day, like, your world could turn upside down tomorrow. You don't know. So
100%. Only takes one phone.
Absolutely. Also, mate, I want to start by asking you a question, and everyone in the audience a question, and I would hope that everyone answers in the comments. What are you grateful for? One thing you're grateful for at the moment, mate, because there's a lot going on. We're very stressed. We're very strung up. But what's one thing you're grateful for?
That's a great question. You haven't even given me time to think about this.
No, I didn't.
And I like how you segued into something that I don't have any time to answer. I definitely am grateful for having a beautiful family, a gorgeous girlfriend, and amazing friends. Off the top of the bat, those are the three things that I'm very grateful for. And I would presume that for most people it would be the same. But yeah, family is definitely one of them. And I add my friends, my girlfriend into that bracket. Yeah,
absolutely. I've got quite a few sound. Me, grateful for the channel. The channel keeps me sane. Grateful for health. Grateful for my beautiful girlfriend as well. She plucked my eyebrows over the weekend. They're clean as a whistle.
I did notice that, and I did comment on. I did. Yeah, me and you did have to go through a bit of a girly weekend, didn't we? I had the nose strips on Saturday night, and you had your eyebrows plucked.
I did. I had to, mate, because everything's closed. I can handle long hair, but the brows need upkeep, mate.
Yeah,
it's
the caterpillars need to be brushed.
They do. We've got Peter V here. He's grateful for Essendon losing another final. Good on you, Pete. Well, Joseph, he's grateful for Mad Dogs and Mars content. Yeah, I second that. Oh, dear. I'm also grateful for a young man named Willem, who has really just sort of started working with the channel as well. He's our new video editor. And I have to show you guys this because we spoke today, and I said, Willem, we'll want to create like a commercial or like an ad or like an introduction video to for the channel, that for people that have never seen it. Look at what he's come up with.
Come on! Straightens up and has delivered.
That kid's good.
Mate, he's a star.
That kid's good. I've just started to see some of his videos that you've been posting recently, and the Eddie Betts one, if that doesn't cheer you up, I don't know what would. But God, he's got some talent, that kid, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, when Eddie Betts is asking to send that video to him so he can keep it, you know that he's done something special.
Mate. You're a mate guy.
Yes. Well done, Willem. Well done, mate. All right. Bit of a good vibe. There's going to be a mixture. We're going to be a little angry tonight, but we're also going to be exciting. where do we start? Okay, let's go with the president. The president speaks.
I didn't mind this.
Yeah.
This is the topic to start with.
Yeah.
This was refreshing, to be completely honest, Terry. It was someone standing up, going straight on the front foot and looking the bowler straight in the eye and saying, I'm going to hit it straight back to you. I do feel that a lot of what he has said and a lot of the actions that are being put into place are a little bit of spot fire. There's a bit of spot fires that have been happening in the past. So he's fixing that up. But I did like how he was brutally honest. Strikes me as a bloke who does not take much shit. And I think that the football club is going to start slowly realise that this is the truth of this man.
Yeah, I think my first reaction, and I guess something I've been speaking about all year, is, I've very much been in the school of thought of he's a guy that's coming from a board that he's been a part of for a while now. And then I was speaking to Pommy, and he was saying, well, there's a difference between being on the board and then being the president. Because when you're the president, the buck stops with you. It's the ultimate accountability. I've got to say, and before we get into the press conference, it's more the video that he sent the members with, the review findings, which we'll touch on shortly.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm big on this. It's 2021. We haven't been able to go to the footy. We haven't been able to go to the VFL, the AFLW, and connect and network. Get behind a camera, connect with the new modern age audience. And I thought he nailed it.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. And kudos to him. It's taken us 8 years to find a bloke who would actually do that. And kudos to, I think this is a really great get for the football club. I think you're 100% right about, and the jury will be out for the start of it. Obviously he's made some comments that are fairly apprehensive, but I think for a first outing, he could not have done better. Really well spoken. As I said, on the front foot, goes onto a Zoom camera and says what he says. Good on him. And that's what we want as members, as paying members and supporters of the football club. What we want is transparency and honesty. And he gave us both of those things.
Yeah. And let's be honest, what he said is what he should say. He didn't say anything that's a shock to anyone.
No.
But it's the manner in which he said it. Like, I'm in a video, it's an email to the members with a private video that's not available on any other platform other than this email. And I just, look, you got to give the man a chance, right?
100%. There was a firmness to the video. There was a firmness, a very authoritarian vibe to it. And he comes from an extremely good business background. So I'm sure that he will leave no stone unturned to make sure that this football club gets back to some success. I'm not going to say all the way, but some success.
Absolutely. And also I've seen a podcast interview that he did with, I forget the gentleman's name, but it's on the Sayers website. And it's just an insight. Like every time you get to hear him speak is a little bit of an insight into the person he is. He seems to be a very relationships type based person. But at the same time, I'm with you, mate. Like there's a real, there's a Hebrew word, he's a real fucking to the point. Yeah.
I've got a mate of mine who's probably watching this at the moment who works under him at PwC. Okay. And shout out to Sanjit. And he was his boss there. And he's one of these blokes who is a straight shooter, does not take much shit, and will call a spade a spade. And if we're to reminisce on the past, there was a bit of looseness from our past predecessors in that role. So hopefully this is big. Hopefully.
Yeah. Absolutely. Before we move on, we've got a very generous donation here. $50 from Wayne. Says, me and the old man Malcolm give us a shout out. Terry, there it is, mate. I bleed blue and love our fans. I love our Pommy and Rocco too. Thanks for the Carlton love. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. The segue into that is obviously the external review findings. Now, Michael, I'm going to put them up here. This was the email that we all got as members. Now, we know that we were always going to get, well, not always. It was told that we weren't going to be given anything. And then we had a bit of a discussion on the show about, well, can we at least get something summarized? Yes, you don't want to ruin people's reputations, but we need something. And this is what we got in the email. These were the key findings for everyone to sort of read through there. Mate, talk to me about what you made of the key findings. What did it say to you?
Okay. So as an outsider, I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of the findings were some things that we already knew were going to happen. We do want. I'm just trying to read this. Oh my God, I need some glasses. The coaching part of the high performance things. These types of things here, I don't feel have been extinguished quite yet. So maybe there to see what happens in the weeks to come. High performance obviously is Andrew Russell. Obviously, culturally inside, that is just, we're never going to know about that. The football club has to do that themselves. But the coaching part of things, I think unfortunately, the coaching part that's the first part that you have to deal with straight off the bat. Once you've done that, then you can kind of take care of the rest. But if you had told me 8 weeks ago when this all happened that Teague sacked, Amos, Stanton, and Barker would be gone, I don't think many of us would have been surprised.
Yeah, I think we all pretty much, and I think we all pretty much said it. Yeah. We were looking for an assistant coaching panel whenever you compared it to like Sydney's, Richmond's, West Coast's.
It's really damning to look at theirs and compare it to ours. It really is. Ours looks like a tried and tested one that's just been, maybe we'll try Brett Stanton. And you go look at Hawthorns, Jesus, my God. They've had name after name that's gone through there.
I think the obvious question is, and I mean, obviously in the press conference, he spoke about, everything else has been given a green tick in terms of off-field. It's now time to focus on the on-field. But I guess the obvious question is, why wasn't it always that way? And that's obviously where the division has happened with people, and maybe there's a lack of faith,
100%. No, why wasn't this spoken about at the start of the year? Why wasn't this spoken about in January? If these problems don't just pop up, Terry, they're there, they're out there, they stay there. They're, as I said, they're cultural based. So if you're sensing them in round 10 or 12 when you're announcing this review, I'm sure that you could have been sensing it 2 weeks before round 1. That's the damning part. So at least we got there. We had to go through a year of pain to get to this part here where I feel that the football club has taken somewhat of a turn.
Yeah.
It has
and
been
look,
a big week for them.
At the end of the day, critique it all you want. Like, they chose to do it mid-year and make it public. So obviously the spotlight's on. That's as proactive as I've seen us for a while.
We've never done that. I actually don't think that many football clubs have done that in general. Like an external review mid-season, I don't think anyone has done that for a long time. There's been internal reviews during football seasons, but to do one amidst of a football season. Now, there's going to be people out there that say that it shouldn't have been done. It was the right time, right place. Let the boys play and then do it at the end of the year. I'm still yet to put my opinion out there on that, but it's done now. It's done.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is what was said about how the process took place and about the coaching changes and whatnot in the press conference.
Board members would have presided over picking each one of those coaches. What should give Carlton members any faith that next time will be different?
Yeah, so look, it's not as simple as sort of it's this person's fault or it's that person's fault or it's anybody else's fault. We've conducted a review here, and we've got to contextualise and keep coming back to contextualising. We've conducted a review because we believe that we were underperforming versus the potential of our list and the potential of our club, and so we've gone in and we've looked at that holistically. And there are some 20 plus recommendations coming out of that review. There are learnings everywhere. And so what we're about right here, right now, is looking at how do we implement those recommendations going forward, because we believe the potential of this list is much better than we're seeing on the field at the moment. Feedback given to the board and given to us with regard to how it was conducted, which I cop and take on board and will and there has been some feedback given to the board and given to us with regard to how it was conducted, which I cop and take on board and will look to grow from that experience. But as to how David felt or didn't feel, that would be his perspective.
Luke, it's Sarah Ollie from Fox Sports. I'm just wondering, 50 games isn't a huge body of work. How long is the next coach going to get your club to finals, as you say you want to?
Well, I think that's an impossible question to answer, Sarah. The Carlton Football Club is pursuing winning games, getting ourselves into finals and winning premierships. And we will be uncompromising with regard to pushing and prodding all of us, including myself, the board, management, the football department, the entire organisation, to change gears now and lift to a higher performance standard and a higher performance.
You get the gist of it.
Tick, tick, tick. I will say one thing, but Kane Liddell looks like he's either come out of 161 at 6 a.m. or a man that's been told, listen, it's time.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That was something I noticed. I mean, again, we say it all the time.
He's got to face up.
The only window we get into what's going on are the press conferences, speeches, and all of that. I've never seen body, like, I look at little things, like you look at Sayers' suit, not a crease, slouched a little bit, Little has always been like a real forthright, energetic, light. And 100%. It's the first time I've seen him. Was he shaken up? Is he under stress? A bit of everything. But it's good. Everyone needs to be under the fucking 100%. Pump.
I agree. No, that has to be the mantra from now on. If you were part of this problem when we were going through it, you either be part of the solution or, unfortunately, time to go. It's simple as that. But he did look very, very, very weary. Like I've seen better people come out of 161 at 6 a.m. He didn't look good.
I don't know if we're done with the. Let's talk about the changes. We obviously Stanton, Amos, Barker. We know had left earlier in the year. David Teague. Let's talk a little bit about Teague. It's terrible the way it's played out. No one likes to see someone lose their job, especially someone that's as good a character and as good as a human being as what David Teague was and is. But if the president and the review, if they feel like we're not getting the best out of the list and they wait another year when they knew the problem had been identified this year, we'd probably be even more angry next year.
Could you imagine if we'd done this in a year? If we'd gone through another year of this and we'd done this in a year, like we've got players that are out of contract. We've got young, good players that are coming out of contract. God, you risk everything if we go through another year of that. And unfortunately, David, I felt was a victim of circumstance. I kind of felt we did look in the last 12 weeks. We have done nothing to help him. And it's clear he's come out and said that. I feel sorry for him, but I do not. It's not me pitying that he. It's not me pitying him as a coach. I still think he had opportunities to prove a lot of things. And you're big on body language. I am as well. And the last 6 weeks, he looked defeated. Maybe he's just a good assistant coach. Who knows? Maybe he will be better off second time round. But for us right now, he's not the man for the job. He is not the right man for the job. He can be the nicest bloke in the world. I know 15,000 of them. I go walk down to Bundoora Square right now and I can tell you who's a nice bloke. It doesn't mean that you can do your job right. We need people who are going to be there and change the place. And unfortunately, David, he wasn't that man. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I know that there's a notion of give him time, 44% record, all of that. But like in a fairy tale world, David stays. All the players we drafted from 2015, 16, 17, they all stay. They lift the cup up. Yeah, it's a dream. But if it's not happening, it's not happening.
100%. And, it's I kind of look at the Bolton era / into the Teague era as a one, to be completely honest. I kind of felt the Teague was brought upon a list that he never really took care of himself. He was just given the list that Bolton had. And said, this is make it what you will. There was no real – the things that concern me are the changes to certain players in certain positions and making a stance for yourself as the head coach. That's what I wanted to see. There was never a real move to say, this is my authority on the group and this is what I've brought to them. There was never a dropping. There was never an axing of a player. So those things there are things that I think they were writing on the wall for everyone else on the outside looking in for David Teague. The media were terrible to him, let's be honest here. They set the poor bloke out to dry. But, it is what it is. We are now on the verge to finding a new coach.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's probably, again, another lesson for all of us, and the way the industry is moving, we all see it. Like the mainstream media, not even about being right anymore. Like the new renewed talks about Clarko, and then there's like a faction of players that want to change. And I think Paul said it perfectly here before. His manager said we wasted 3 days waiting to get rid of him. I say we wasted 2 years not defending. You know what for me is worse than how we treated David Teague? The 19 goals in a row that Port kicked.
Yeah, I agree.
The Collingwood game round 2, the West Coast game against the Waffle team, the North Melbourne second half. Like they were worse than,
I've literally got a list of games where him as a coach could have changed. I was at the Sydney game. I was nearly going to be at the West Coast game, stay at that one. Thank God I got back home and stayed in lockdown. And the North Melbourne game, the Suns game, the Collingwood game at the start, the Brisbane game in the second quarter. It's one quarter. I'm going to reiterate it here. 50 games the bloke coached. 23 times out of 50, we conceded 5 goals in a row. That's just deplorable. Sorry, but that's shit. That's shit. You're never going to succeed. You're never going to succeed at that rate. And then I don't even know how his winning rate is that high with numbers like that. We're coming back from nowhere.
What's also scary to me is that argument being used as a means to keep him, like 44%. Like that's good.
44% is fine, but we're all right to concede 23 times 5 in a row. Yeah. That for me, the 19 goals was the obviously the dagger in the heart. I'm pretty sure that the decision was made earlier than the 19 goals. I think the 19 goals is shaking his hand after the game and saying thank you for your time and pack your bags and get out of here. You put it up there a couple of weeks ago. Your review, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, mate. I think I picked up the phone more times to friends of mine during those 19 goals. I think I was angrier than him. I'm sitting there when the 19 goals are going. I'm like, are you watching this? And then another bloke, are you watching this? What the fuck is this, bro? Come on, bro. I could have coached them better. I could have sent the Telegraph out that day and it would have got there faster than him giving something.
Yeah, and that's it. Look, it is what it is. We love him. We respect him. For me, that goes without saying. I don't need to tell people, but I love David Teague and I respect him. But I almost feel like I have to because people get sensitive, like, you're lashing into it. No, it's not personal. I love him. No. Always will. He gave the club service, most courageous player, best and fairest. But we need to see fucking premierships.
It's a ruthless industry. It is. As fast as you think you got it, it's the day that you figure out that you got it is the day that you don't have it. And you've got to be that old saying, you're only as good as your last game, your last, well, unfortunately, he wasn't as good as his last bloody half dozen. And Rocco was big on this after round 1. He's obviously watched a lot more footy than us, and I remember having like a conversation with him, and he said, "Mate, Teague's lost the players after round 1," and I'm like, "Mate, are you kidding? We were okay. We gave Richmond a shake-up," and he was he gave me the example of, Terry, put your hand up as high as you can, and I'm like, this is like, now put it up again. And then he's like, hang on, I told you to put it up as high as you can from the start. And it's that analogy. These boys didn't play like their life was on the line, I agree with you. That is, we're going to segue into that in a bit. That's culture. That's culture. That's desperate, being desperate. That's hungry. That's Richmond of the last 3 years. That is really grinding your teeth and getting at it. And that's how you prove that you play for a coach. Yes. That's how you prove that you play for your supporters, your paying members, your coterie groups, every single person that believes in a football club and who and what they are, what they stand for. That's how you do it. Not one game, not one quarter, not a St Kilda blowout in 3 quarters. That doesn't do it. It looks good, but it's not the solution. Simple as that. Which I do think will be changed into the next topic that we get onto when it comes to culture.
Correct. Well, let's. I'm going to play one more clip because we're going to stay on the coaching right now. We're going to talk a little bit about who we want to coach or who we think will coach. So this will be the clip. We'll play it. The mainstream media will play it. I've got no issue with it being said, but this is what it is all about.
Some board members would have presided over picking each one of those coaches. What should give Carlton members any faith that next time will be different?
Yeah, so look, it's not as simple as sort of...
Some board members would have presided over picking each one of those coaches.
Our expectation, based on the list that we have, we are looking to make finals in 2022.
You want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target.
Thanks, Joe, for making that.
I promise this is water. I promise. Oh, God, I've done it again. Some things never change. Some things never change. As I said, I do like the firmness and the stepping on the front foot. At the end of the day, this is what we're here for, Terry. We're here to play finals football. That's what we want. I don't want to be sitting here with you right now talking about we should be there. I want to be thinking about what's happening this week in the semi-final week. I'd love to have a week off and playing in the prelim next week. So if they don't do that, they need to say it. Look, at the end of the day, they need to say it. They need to. Because that was the goal last year. So if you're bringing in a new coach and your goals have changed, then we're really in a shitstorm.
Yes. However, did our president say that 12 months ago in the same way that Luke Sayers just said it then?
Please don't start with me and Mark. Please. He is the king of bullshit. I've got a book back there. It's called the Bullshit Artist book. He wrote it. He spins everything in a certain way that just, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
This man here, there was a firmness, a stability to it. There was, as I said, there was an honesty about it. And there was, this is what we're going to do, guys. This is what we're going to do.
But more than anything, he has set clearly the KPI for 2022 that we will all refer back to in 12 months from now. He's made it very clear what 100%. Is acceptable or not. And then if it happens, well, we know and we applaud him and we say, great, we made the changes, we did what we needed to do. If it doesn't happen, we say, all right, what are you going to do about it? It didn't happen.
100%. You know? And I will go on the front foot and say we will. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it now. I'm trying to be as positive and as pessimistic as I was trying to be, but I was saying we will. That, as I said, this is a real game changer this week for the football club, and I think the next few weeks will be game changing for the football club. So yeah, as I said, I do love the steeliness approach from him. It's just something that's refreshing. We've needed it. We haven't had it. Me and you have been to president's lunches before. I've been to several of them, and there's a propaganda machine that goes along with a lot of those president's lunches, and I cannot wait to go next year to one of them and experience this man and the way he speaks. I think it's going to be a different experience. Yeah.
And because, and who was it? Vasilis here said, pump the brakes. It always takes 2 to 3 years longer than expected. Okay, fair enough. But the fact that it's been outlined so clearly says to me there really is only 1, maybe 2 coaches out there that can possibly come in with that expectation and the runs on the board to get that job done. One of them says he doesn't want to coach next year, and we take his word for that, and whatever the case may be. Yeah. Maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes and some last-minute pleas for Clarko. And the other one for me is Ross Lyon. I mean, if there's anyone else in the comments, who else would you put up there to coach, knowing that you're walking into this kind of pressure? It's not just the finals pressure. It's like you're walking into the Carlton Football Club, and we will make anyone age 3 times the speed of what they would in 10 years.
Don't go on my Instagram and look at photos of 2 years ago. My God. I didn't have these crows. These crow's feet. Look, okay. I've been out there and I've publicly said it. I got told on the 9th of July that Ross Lyon would be our next coach.
Okay.
I have publicly said it. I've said it all over my social media. I think he is the man. There's no one else. There were two people, like you said, Alistair Clarkson and Ross Lyon. Every other person, every other coach, every other assistant who may be available, in my opinion, does not even deserve an interview. Maybe a couple, but not all of them. It has to be Ross Lyon. He has to be the next coach of Carlton. Ross Lyon brings a firmness, a cultural change, a steeliness that our president has, and a view on things that I think a lot of these millennial footballers either are going to love or are going to hate, and he's going to change and say, listen, if you're not part of it, again, there's the door. And, you know, there's been these comments that have come out about him, you know, looking you in the eyes and, you know, Ed Langdon saying all that stuff. Good. If I'm Ross Lyon, I want you to look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you. I want the 46 players that I got on the list knowing that I'm their primary focus and what I say goes. Now, holistically, it's all about the team, the culture, the club. That's the bigger picture. But the one person who does, you know, steer the ship in a way is that man. I feel the only person who's going to steer it, you know, correctly at the moment is Ross Lyon.
Yeah,
he really
and I'm
is.
gonna show some quotes on the screen shortly. But again, another example. Mainstream media came out with this article about Ed Langdon's comments about his environment and he's loved the change up here. It's not as intense and fierce. And I want to thank Tom Linton on Twitter. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He put up some other quotes from other people. We'll start with Ed Langdon himself, right? So in accepting his 2018 Players Award of the Doig Medal when he was playing for Fremantle, here is the quote. I'd like to thank the coaches, Ross in particular. I wouldn't be up here tonight if it wasn't for you. I sincerely mean that. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me. I caught one of the biggest sprays of my life in the JLT Community Series from Ross. It clicked me into gear. So there's one. This is another one. This was Brett Peake, who played for St Kilda. He wasn't an out-and-out star, but he played a role. Ross is by far the best coach I've ever had. Just the way he thinks football, his football IQ. He'll give you a little bit of praise. He'd give me a bit of praise, but he'd never be over the top. But far out, if you didn't go hard enough at a contest or your training standards weren't up to it, he would pull you in and give you a good spray. That's how I reacted, and that's how he got the best out of me. It shows that he knows how to get the best out of me, and I knew how to respond to what he was saying. There's two more. One is Walters, who credits Ross Lyon's tough love for salvaging his career. I'll go to the bottom here. He says, after being named to the All-Australian team for the first time, Walters reflected on Lyon's decision to send him back to train at Swan Districts as an overweight 21-year-old in 2012 as a turning point. And then there's Pavlich, maybe Fremantle's greatest player. Ross was the best coach I had by an absolute mile. He was analytical. He was ruthless. He had a great empathy for the players that dug in and worked hard for him. And he was someone who I think, and this is contrary to popular view, but he made football issues really simple. He distilled it down. This is what I think he's lost to the public. He would look at all the stats and all the data, and he was very data-driven, and he would say, guys, here's what you have to focus on, and it would be 3 words or 3 points, and that was his greatest skill, I think. Mate, the review's telling us that the game plan is confusing to the players. Standards aren't high enough. Mate, it just makes sense. Let's not fuck around.
It's right there. It's literally right there. You got Nick Rewell coming out on, you know, the Fox Footy. Jonathan Brown speaks highly of him. Gary Lyon speaks. All these media professionals speak highly of the bloke. Now, I'll go as far as saying there is not a single coach apart from Alistair Clarkson who is going to get more out of the bottom 6 players on your 22. Ross Lyon did it. And go have a look at that Fremantle team that made the finals. Go have a look at that grand final team. They had a team that was filled of misfits and rejects, basically. There were some very good footballers in there, don't get me wrong. The majority of them weren't any stars. Brett Peake came over from St Kilda. He played in that grand final. You had Chris Mayne, who played at full forward. He ended up being a wingman / back pocket at Collingwood. Zach Dawson played. Now, you can't tell me that that's not role doing. That has nothing to do with who you are talent-wise. That is coaching. It has to be said. Look at the St Kilda team that drew in a grand final. that actually dominated the 9, 10, and 11 years. Sorry, let's say 9 and 10. That was all Ross Lyon. It really is. I've looked back, and I'll get this up, and this is something that I wanted to share. And I do think that this is where Ross Lyon can play a big part in our football club. So the bottom 6 players on our list/team has always been, I feel, a big problem for us. I feel like we've always struggled with finding our best last 6. Now, if you go back to 2011, I was working at the club back then, and I can tell you that the culture was amazing, absolutely amazing. We didn't have anywhere near as much talent as what they do now. I just want to round off a few players that played as those bottom 6, and you tell me if these are stars. Kane Lucas, Andrew Collins, Brock McLean, Satantara Halpin, Paul Bauer, Mark Austin, Sean Hampson, Dennis Armfield, Marcus Davies, Brett Thornton at full forward, Nick Dygan, Simon White, Aaron Joseph, David Allard, and Wayne Toomey. They all played at some point in our 2011 year. And we finished 5th, and we're a game out of the prelim. No one can tell me that it has to be culture. It has to. Culture deems success. And that right there is the reason that we were successful in 2011. Now, 10 years on, we have lost that success. The only bloke statistically and has been proven to do that is Ross Lyon. He's the man. Simple.
Yeah. I think at the high level, when I look at what's going on and I look at our team, and the one thing there's a lot to say, but if I could summarize it as best as I possibly could, I would say what we lack is discipline. And the one trait I say about Ross Lyon and the teams he coaches is that they were disciplined. And one thing I'm more excited about finding out, more so than if it's going to be Ross Lyon, is who's going to not be able to handle the abruptness. Yes. Who are the people that are going to leave because they can't handle it?
There's that old quote that, when you pressurize a piece of coal, it can turn into a diamond or it can turn into a piece of shit. And I feel like that is what's going to be, that really is going to be our off season. I think you'll see it straight off in the trade period. I think whoever it is, we're presuming here that Ross Lyon's going to be the next coach of Carlton. We really think it is going to be him. Let's say it is him. He'll look at it and he'll say to this list, yeah, I think this bloke's the right guy. I don't think he is. I don't think he is. What can I get out of this bloke? That's another question you've got to ask. So what can I get out of them? You look at some of these players that we have at the moment, Paddy Dow, Lockie O'Brien, Liam Stocker, Setterfield. What can I get out of them? Petreski, Seaton, I can keep going, Cottrell, Owies. What can I get out of them? They're the bottom 6 players that I'm talking about. Maybe not Paddy Dow, but he will look and try to get progression and depth out of them.
I have this vision. Like, if it is him again, I don't know if it's going to be Ross Lyon, but if it was, I have this vision of him walking in, looking them all in the eye, and literally looking at them with this look of, who do you all think you are? Who do you all think you are?
You bunch of millennials.
But also,
you think he'll let Plowman play the way he does?
Do we need to know before trade period, before delistings? Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I would say that we would need to know before grand final week. I look at grand final week as a really important part in a coach's landscape. I think that you can get a lot out of it if you are a head coach, an assistant coach. I think you need to warm your players to watching that game, make them understand that this is what we want, but also endure. You want them to sit there and be like, shit, we're not there. I feel like we need a coach by grand final day. Collingwood's going to make their decision in the next few days. I think who's going to get there? McRae. Yeah, we have to make ours, I'd say, in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. I'd want our coach to be in line with what's happening amidst now in the football season. And then you can look around and say, if Melbourne win it, for example, this is the standard.
Yeah. I hope that grand final day, they're all watching the game at the club in that room with the coach. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. I would want all 40-odd players sitting in that theatre room with Ross Lyon at the front or whoever's the coach and sitting there and enduring and understanding this is where we want to be next year. This is where we want to be in a couple of years. And unfortunately, it's painful sometimes, to watch the unpleasant, but you got to watch it because unless you're never going to learn. You're never going to learn.
The pain is
and
good
I feel
for
a lot of them in the past may have taken grand final days as a holiday. So yeah.
All right, let's regress for a little bit, and we might come back. So I want to talk about Liam Stocker. So if you guys haven't listened to this audio, I really do recommend after the show, go on the club website and please listen to it, because basically he opened up completely about last year and coming back into the side. And I'm going to play you a clip here, or an audio grab from the interview, and make your own judgment on this. We'll talk about it shortly.
What does pulling on the navy blue jumper mean to you, considering you hadn't done it for so long?
In life, I think pulling on the navy blue jumper is my calling. I really love playing for the supporters. I love how passionate everyone is, and hopefully you can see that in my game. But I don't know. I find so much joy and so much pride in pulling on that CFC logo. I never really expected to when I got drafted, and I probably didn't appreciate it in my first year. But having an opportunity to go back through the history and find out what I'm actually playing for, and probably to a degree figure out what I'm playing for as well. I think my values are aligned pretty closely with the football club's, and the amount of care and affection the people at this football club, whether directly or indirectly, have shown me. I think that's what's contributed more than anything. It's not necessarily the history or the culture, it's the people involved at the club at the moment, and their ability to have a positive effect on my life, I'll be forever grateful for. And if some modicum of repaying that is, playing some games of footy that make people happy and make people smile and people enjoy my efforts, then I'm happy to do that. But yeah, it means the world to me.
Mate, he gets it. He gets it.
God, you want 28 of them. That was so good. I loved listening to all of that. He just knows what it's about. He knows exactly what it's about. And I think sometimes you've got to go through hard times to understand that. He definitely has. And that clearly has built him to become a stronger man. And if anyone, goes on his Instagram and sees his stories, the bloke is just so in tune with human emotion and going through hard times and understanding that people have to be there for each other. I could not praise this kid anymore. He should be in the leadership group in the next few years. I'm all in.
Yeah, I've always been impressed with him because he didn't grow up in Australia. I think he spent his first 10 years living in Hong Kong, and a little bit of I think the first 3 years of his life were in Beijing, and then the next 7 were in Hong Kong. So he didn't have the Aussie bubble where we get sucked into we're the only people that live on the earth and we only do it our way kind of thing. And he's just got this like worldliness and intelligence about him. And then when you couple that with when he talks about playing for the Carlton Football Club is my calling, mate, that makes my hair stick up on my arm.
That's actually heard a player say that. When have we actually had a player say that?
Well, the previous generation. They're the only ones that talk about it like that.
Yeah, like that is like Mark McClure-esque. That's like John Nichols stuff, talking about the monogram like that. So good on. I was blown away. I listened to it and I was sitting there like, what am I actually listening to? Who is this kid? I didn't expect that. I really didn't. So, Liam Stocker, good on you. That was really, really great. It was a good listen.
Yeah. The other part that sort of made me learn something about this year, and I think we can all take something from it, is obviously we're all calling out for him to get in the midfield, get him in the guts. Why are we playing him back? We were wrong. We were actually dead wrong.
Really? Yeah.
And
yeah, 100%.
Go ahead.
I think we were. I think the last round proved that we may have been wrong. He came into the team, didn't go out. That's a huge, huge step for this man's career. Maybe we don't need him in the midfield because maybe we need him more down in that back 7. So I think he's got a sense of leadership about him. I would liken him to a Sam Doherty of All-Australian year, that type of role. That's what I would want. If that's a goal, if that's an achievement, that's what we want.
Yeah. I think also the way he spoke about how he may have fractured relationships last year, because the way he left, he didn't tell anyone what was going on, not many people what was going on with him. And he said that he had to really earn that respect back, and kind of makes sense because when he kicks his first goal, we all got angry because not everyone got around him the way they did for like Honey and whatnot. And maybe that was part of the process of him gaining that love and respect back and trust with his teammates. And it's funny because it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, we were all really mad about it, but I now understand exactly why it happened. And you said it just then. He came into the side. He didn't leave. He cemented himself in the team. And in a season where we're all pissed off, we actually have quite a few good stories like that. I think always he's one. He cemented himself, you know.
Well, I think if you were to look at the positives, I try and keep half glass full majority of the time. You look at Welsh. Welsh, obviously, tick. Stocker, tick. Wiedering, tick. Mackay, tick. I think Ed Curnow, again, tick. These just, I think if you were to look at it, but again, it's the topic of individuals. So I don't want to continue raving on about players, you know, being success. But holistically, we want the team to succeed. But individually, those players are definitely, they all showed something that they didn't last year. You know, who would have tipped Harry to win the Coleman? Apart from me, but
not me. Well, Blacker Rat did.
Yeah. So if you're taking the 41s, you would have got Harry. But you know, credit to him. And like, there's some players, there's some real good stories out of this year. But next year we need more stories. Next year we need Lockie O'Brien to be the story. We need Paddy Dow to be the story. Okay, we need Matt Cottrell to be the story. We need Will Setterfield. Those are the players that we need this story to come about. So it's all good and well at being Liam Stocker this year, but if it ain't going to be anyone next year, there's a problem.
Well, following on from the individuals, let's talk about the All-Australian team.
Oh, God, no.
I maybe should have put this at the start of the show. Obviously, Wiedering. Yeah. What was your reaction in the audience? Give us. Yeah.
I threw the phone. I was sitting there. I was sitting there watching it like this, just on my phone, just like that, and I'm like, Aliir. I'm not taking anything away from Aliir. I'm not taking anything away from Jake Lever and Stephen May. I think they're all very good footballers. It's like the bloke got pinched in the last 2 rounds. It's like they had watched the last 2 rounds and made their selection off that. The last 3, whatever it was. It's like they looked, Larkey kicked 7 against him. Dixon kicked 4 junk time goals against him. You know, Jesse Hogan kicked 3 or 2 on him. How about you talk about Sebastian? Like, I'm sure he was the next picked. I'm sure he was. But you're telling me another year that he's not. I'm telling you, he's the best defender in the league right now.
Yeah, look, he is. There's something about the way it happened, which I also like. You know why? Because this is what happens when you finish 13th. You put yourself in this position where the selectors will find a reason not to give you 3 All-Australians. 100%. And to be honest, I really thought they were going to snub Walsh, not Wiedering, because there's heaps of midfielders.
Yeah.
You know,
that was the easier decision I felt on their behalf. If they had snubbed Walsh, but we've got 15 other midfielders. But God almighty, how much better of a season does Jacob Wiedering need to have?
Yeah.
Literally, you look at his stats, ridiculous. Very rarely leaked goals. And the one thing that I did like about it, if he did leak goals, he came out the next week and said, no. Fuck you. You're not going to get me this week.
Yeah.
And, look, individual accolades are not why you play the game. They are nice. And I'm sure that he, there would have been a part of Jacob that would have been like, oh, shit, damn, I didn't get it this year again. But knowing the man that he is, I think he would be sitting there and saying, you know what, I'd rather win a flag next year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. People are talking. I mean, one thing about Weird is as well, he obviously did the SEN interviews this year with Jared and really developed this speaking part to his persona, which we hadn't seen prior to this year. Yeah. Where are you with captaincy? And maybe this isn't even something we should be talking about because we're just fans and ultimately the players will vote. I don't know if they did that this year. Did they vote for co-captains? I don't remember.
I think every year they do. I believe every year they do.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I'd be guessing. But from my experiences, I always thought that they've done that every year. But I'd be remiss to think that it would either be. I think the conversation will come up, with a new coach coming in. I think the conversation will come up. Inevitably, when you do get a new coach, there is a new leadership group, there is a new system, there is a new plan. Whoever this man may be, who may be coaching us, he might turn around and say to Jacob Wiedering, I want you to be put towards the leadership group and I want you to go for captain. And if the players vote you in, we will make you captain. And it's all up to Cripps as well. Cripps and Doherty have to obviously not want to do it or pass the baton as such.
Yeah. I think one of the other things about if it's a David Teague thing or a coaching thing or a club thing is this guy here, Cripps, it was very clear why we made him captain, the way he played the game. Yeah. I think it's important to put people around him that are going to get the best out of him. It's almost like, I think Pommy was saying this the other day, like he's almost crying out for help with his leadership. And that's another thing that Ross Lyon did very well with Nat Fyfe,
100%. And you look at the way that the crossover between Pavlich and Fyfe, it was really Pavlich Mundy into Fyfe. You look at that crossover. Now, then obviously if Ross is given the job, maybe he just turns around and says, Cripper, we don't need you to be captain. We actually don't. I would rather get you just less stressed about the role that you're playing, become a footballer again. Obviously, you're always going to be a leader of the football club on and off the field. But we just think I actually don't think it's Walsh. I think Wiedering has more. I think Wiedering has deserved more credits in the bank. And there's you just go watch that Collingwood game. The bloke fucking, I'm king here, mate. I'm the man. And the way he walked to the center of the square and he took the coin toss, whatever you fucking call it, and you took the cup at the end of the game. There was a steeliness about it. I'm going to continue using this word about this football club at the moment. They've got to show steeliness. And I think that Jacob Wiedering, if he was to be, put towards the club as being the next captain, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I couldn't think of anyone better.
Yeah. I just hope, in my ideal world, whoever comes in to coach Cripps next gets the best out of Cripps and gets 100%. Him playing with that spark again and he's leading the way. But I think the beauty of what we've seen in the last few years is we've got some more guys that are emerging. I saw a little. I got sent some notes from a Zoom call that Wiedering did with Kane Little, Lajuda Share, and Luke Power, and Wiedering spoke very clearly about the captaincy or the leadership aspect has taken its toll on Cripps and Doherty, and it's up to him and Walsh to fill that out now. So we've got two guys there that we think can fill that out. Yep. Then you hear Liam Stocker speak, you start thinking, wow, in 5 years' time, there's another one as well. So, look.
I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
That in itself is a really good – that's a positive as well. It's a really good place to be, having more leaders around. Understanding that they want success at a young age is really, really important. Not wanting these older blokes to carry the load. And if you look at it, next year, this list ain't old.
No.
We'll have a look at Ed Curnow and Liam Jones, the oldest players on that list right now. I think the next oldest would be Nick Newman. I think Nick Newman will be the oldest after that. And he's 28.
Yeah. The bracket goes from Jones to Ed Curnow, and then it goes straight to like Cripps, Doherty, Sard, Williams, and
100%. So it's good that the young kids have got that passion for leadership. I think that's really important. And whether Wiedering isn't captain or not, the fact that we're even talking about it is something good.
Yeah,
that in itself is something good. The fact that we've been talking about Walsh as being the next captain, that's fantastic in itself. Do I personally think that Cripps doesn't need the captaincy? I would actually rather him just going back to be a footballer. I would. Because I said, he's going to be always seen as that leader, that bloke who's always going to be, the big boy at the Carlton Football Club. He always will be that. But I think maybe it's time. Maybe. That's just my opinion.
I like it. No, I like it. Mate, this has been the quickest hour of the year.
That's gone quick. Far out.
There's an hour. That's the show. All right, good night, everyone. See ya. I'm putting you on the spot, but I saw you've got your Instagram, your chef Instagram back up and running. So for those in the audience, first of all, Michael, thanks for coming on and joining me. I've really enjoyed your company tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? And because I watch your videos, I watch your stories intently. So tell us about your expertise and what you've got going on and how we can support.
So I've been a chef for 11 years now. Something that I've always had a great hobby about, and I've actually wanted to start up a little Instagram page, a little YouTube channel myself, showing people how to cook. I'm sure that Terry's got a lot out of them, and I'm sure his lovely girlfriend is going to get a meal very soon with my tutorials written all over it. It's an easy way to get a date. I can assure you that if you can cook, gentlemen, if you can cook, you're halfway there. That's why mine stays around. So I've got my channel. It's called Chef Michael's channel on Instagram, and just go on there. I put up daily videos of me cooking, showing people how to use products. The kitchen can be a fairly intimidating place sometimes for some people, so it's good to get, I think, the realistic view of just it's food. That's how I put it.
Well, you said Chef Michael channel. That means a YouTube channel is coming up on the horizon.
It is coming. It is coming. And I'm going to take a lot of inspiration from yourself. It is very daunting. I'm sure, when you first started this thing up, it was
absolutely
very, very daunting.
Yeah, it was just me and the 8 views, 3 of which with my family. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way.
But now you've got your own family. Look at this family we've got now.
Correct. We're all one, and that's great. And that's the one thing as well. Talks about EGMs and spilling the board. Like, I think the main thing we need right now is let's just stick together.
Your phone's blown up. I've had about seven bloody follows. 8. There we go. Thank you very much, Terry. I'm going to pay you for that.
No, mate. It's all good. Like I said, let's stay united this off season. Let's not split things up and be more divided. The world's already divided as it is. So let's rally around each other. I'm going to play this. Yeah, I'm going to play this Willem masterpiece one more time. Michael, thank you again, and we'll see you again for sure.
Thank you, Terry. Much love.
Come on! Straightens up and has delivered. Is there nothing this young man can't do? Sets it up for Charlie Curnow. To Curnow. And Charlie Curnow on one step just went bang.
I don't know, man.
Mate, that comment. Dribbles it.